Sarah was a cheerful student who enjoyed her schoolwork. She especially liked reading and learning about new ideas. But there was one subject she always struggled with: writing. Whenever she sat down to write an essay or a story, she found it hard to begin. Her thoughts would feel all mixed up, and she never knew how to turn them into sentences. Sometimes, she worried that her writing wasn't good enough. One day, she shared her worries with her friend Mia, who was known for her excellent writing skills. Mia was happy to help and shared some useful tips with Sarah. Over time, with Mia's advice, Sarah discovered different ways to improve her writing. Here's what Sarah learned on her journey to becoming a better writer. Mia's first piece of advice to Sarah was to start with simple ideas. You don't have to write a big, complicated story right away, Mia explained. Begin with a small idea. Think about something you know or enjoy and try writing about that. Sarah thought about this advice. She realized she loved animals, especially cats. So, she decided to write a short story about a cat named Whiskers. It was a simple story about Whiskers' adventures in the garden. Since Sarah already liked the topic, it was easier for her to put her thoughts on paper. The story didn't have to be perfect, it was just a starting point. Writing about something she enjoyed made Sarah feel more confident. She realized that writing could be fun if she focused on topics she liked. Mia told Sarah that practicing daily could make a big difference. If you want to get better at writing, try to write something every day. It doesn't have to be long, even a few sentences can help. Sarah thought this was a good idea. She began writing a few lines each day in a small notebook. Some days, she wrote about her day at school. Other days, she wrote a short description of the weather or a little poem. At first, it felt difficult, but as she kept practicing, it started to feel easier. Soon, Sarah noticed that her sentences were becoming clearer, and her thoughts flowed more smoothly. Writing a little each day helped her build confidence and improved her skills over time. One day, Mia gave Sarah another helpful tip. Before you start writing, try making a plan. Think about what you want to say and list your main ideas. Sarah realized that she often got stuck because she didn't know what to write next. So, she decided to try Mia's advice. Before starting her story about Whiskers the cat, she wrote down a list of events she wanted to include. She planned that Whiskers would first chase a butterfly, then climb a tree, and finally meet another cat. Making a plan helped Sarah feel organized. She didn't have to worry about what would happen next in the story because she already had a roadmap. This made writing easier and allowed her to focus on her words. Mia noticed that Sarah sometimes tried to use difficult words in her writing. She explained, "You don't need to use big words to make your writing good. Use simple words that you understand." Sarah took this advice to heart. She realized that using simple words made her writing clearer and more enjoyable to read. For example, instead of writing Whiskers was incredibly curious about his surroundings, she wrote, Whiskers was very curious about his surroundings. The simpler words made her sentence flow better. Writing in simple language allowed Sarah to express her ideas without feeling nervous about using the right words. She felt more comfortable and confident as she wrote. One day, Mia suggested something interesting. If you want to improve your writing, reading regularly can help. When you read, you see how other writers tell stories and describe ideas. It's a great way to learn. Sarah loved reading, so this tip excited her. She started paying more attention to the books she read. She noticed how writers described settings, how they made characters talk, and how they built excitement in the story. She made a note of sentences that she found interesting and tried to understand why they were effective. Reading every day helped Sarah see the different ways to write, and she felt inspired to try new things in her own writing. It was like learning from other writers, and she was happy to bring those ideas into her stories. Mia told Sarah that another important part of improving her writing was learning from feedback. When someone gives you suggestions, listen carefully. They might have ideas that can help you get better. Sarah often showed her stories to her teacher, who gave her helpful feedback. Her teacher pointed out areas where she could add more details or make her sentences clearer. At first, Sarah felt a bit nervous about the feedback, but she soon realized that it was meant to help her. Taking advice from her teacher and Mia allowed Sarah to see her work from a new perspective. She learned that listening to feedback was a good way to improve, and she felt grateful for all the support. Mia explained another useful trick to Sarah. Good writing often comes from rewriting. Don't worry if your first draft isn't perfect. You can always go back and make changes. Sarah had always thought that writing was about getting everything right the first time. But Mia showed her that writing is a process, and it's okay to make changes. Sarah started going back to her stories and looking for ways to improve them. Sometimes, she added a new sentence, changed a word, or removed something that didn't fit. She found that rewriting made her stories clearer and more interesting. She began to enjoy editing because it felt like polishing her work to make it better. Sarah learned that good writing often needs a little extra work, and she was happy to put in the effort. One day, Mia suggested that Sarah try expanding her vocabulary. Learning new words can help you express your ideas in different ways. Try learning one new word each day. Sarah thought this was a fun challenge. She chose a word each morning and used it in her writing that day. For example, when she learned the word delighted, she used it in a sentence like, Whiskers was delighted when he found a sunny spot to nap. Learning new words was like adding new colors to her writing palette. It made her writing feel fresh, and she enjoyed discovering new ways to say things. This helped her feel more creative and made her stories more enjoyable to read. Mia reminded Sarah of something important. Improving your writing takes time. Don't get discouraged if you don't see progress right away. Keep practicing, and you'll get better. Sarah understood that she wouldn't become a perfect writer overnight. There were days when she felt frustrated, and her writing didn't seem to improve. But she remembered Mia's advice and kept practicing. Some days, she wrote stories. Other days, she wrote letters or short descriptions of things around her. Over time, Sarah noticed that her writing felt easier and more natural. She was able to organize her thoughts better, and her sentences sounded smoother. With each story she wrote, she felt more proud of her progress. MIA suggested that Sarah start sharing her writing with friends and family. When you share your work, you get feedback, and it also builds confidence. At first, Sarah felt nervous about sharing her stories. But she showed her story about whiskers to her parents and watched their faces light up as they read it. They told her they enjoyed it and encouraged her to keep writing. This made Sarah feel proud and gave her the courage to share her stories with her classmates as well. Sharing her work helped Sarah see her writing in a new way. She felt motivated to keep improving, and she loved hearing others' thoughts on her stories. After practicing these tips, Sarah saw a big improvement in her writing. She was no longer afraid to start her stories, and her thoughts felt clearer on paper. Her sentences flowed better, and her ideas made sense. Sarah felt proud of how far she had come and thanked MIA for all her helpful advice. So, if you want to improve your writing, remember Sarah's journey. Start with simple ideas, practice daily, make a plan, use simple words, read regularly, learn from feedback, rewrite and edit, expand your vocabulary, be patient, and share your work with others. These steps can help anyone become a better writer. Just like Sarah, you'll find joy in writing, and you'll see how much you can improve over time. Happy writing! Thank you very much for listening. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, share, and leave a comment below with your thoughts on the story. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tap the bell icon to stay updated with more exciting content. Happy listening!